Hey y'all, it's Dr. Jazz, and this is the first episode of season 2 of the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz. And I cannot wait to share with you all the things we have in store for this season. The first thing is that we're now on YouTube. You can find us by searching the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz. Each week you'll be able to see our guests' lovely faces and not only just listen to them. Stay tuned as we reveal more giveaways and listener appreciation throughout this season. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started with season 2. Welcome to the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, where I'm your host, Dr. Jazz, and we journey to purpose together. As you know, the format of this podcast is me interviewing one of my friends and asking these various questions about purpose. Well, today I decided to be interviewed by one of my friends. So I'm bringing back Nicholas. Hi, Nicholas. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I love that you're sporting the Prosper gear. I love it.
Thank
The
you.
Prosper
How was well?
period sweatshirt. Go ahead and
Right.
tell me how many compliments you get on my sweatshirt.
I get compliments every single time I wear it,
See? Hey,
and I
y'all
wear it
should
a
get
lot.
one
So
too.
that's a lot of compliments.
So y'all should get one too off the Prosper Projects website. But anyway, thank you, Nick, for sporting Prosper gear because today I don't have any on. But as y'all know, the way this podcast works is I just jump right in. So we'll jump right in with Nick. So he's going to ask me all the questions and hopefully I have answers. So we'll see.
Okay. Thanks, Jasmine, Dr. Wise, my friend. I'm happy to be here. So let's jump right in there. My first question: what does purpose mean to you?
Yeah. So tidbit, this is actually the third time me and Nick have tried to record my episode.
It's true.
The first time we had internet issues. The second time I had to cancel because life was not agreeing with me.
Yeah. This time
And
was
this time I
your
actually
fault.
have an answer to this question because the
Mm-hmm.
first time I was like, I know I have a podcast about purpose, but I really don't have my own definition. So I decided to be prepared this time. And I went back and I thought about it. And my definition for purpose is anything and anywhere where I can be my full self and it's
Hmm.
life giving to me and other people.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, that's all I
I
got.
get it. I get it. I get it. So what would you say your purpose is specifically?
My purpose. So I
Yeah.
believe that my purpose is to help other people find their purpose.
Okay.
So I'm a purpose coach and cultivator. So it's kind of like a life
Mhm.
coach, but not really, because I don't really help you through your day-to-day life. I literally focus on what is your purpose? How do we get
Okay.
you there? How do we start working in it?
Mhm.
And with Prosper Projects, it's the same thing. So people come to me with
Mhm.
these dreams, these ideas, these goals, and they're like, Jasmine, I have no clue how to reach them. And I help
Mhm.
them get one step closer to that thing. So that would
Mhm.
be my purpose. And I think it ties into my definition because if I'm not well rested, I can't do that.
Mhm.
So when I say being my full self, I mean being everything that I am. So if I
Okay.
got an attitude, one morning and
Mhm.
because I didn't sleep well the night before, because I stayed up, because I'm
Mhm.
behind, like whatever, all these things that pile up, then I'm
Mhm.
not able to be my full self. So
Okay.
I say things that are life giving to me too. So that means like a day of rest. That means if I'm
Mhm.
tired, taking a nap, like doing these things that allow me to be my full self in every
Okay.
direction.
Okay. So let me make sure I got it correct. So it's like two elements to it. One aspect of your purpose is to have a contribution to other people discovering what their purpose is.
Hmm.
Then the other side of it is you being true to yourself in whatever capacity that is. If it's your
Yeah.
attitude, if it's your if it's well, not just your attitude, but whatever mood you're in, whatever direction you're going in life, if it's a daily thing, if it's a weekly thing, if whatever the situation is to be, is to live in your truth, whatever that may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. As far as you helping other people discover what their purpose is, could you tell me about the journey to discovery? Like how did you figure out
Yeah.
what your purpose is? Mhm.
Yes. So I have this thing now that I've like cultivated over the last couple of months called
Mhm.
the Big Bang, where some people literally they have known from their childhood this is what I meant to do. They have worked at it since they were 6 or 7, like whatever, whatever. That's not me. I call it the Big Bang. Or they wake up one day, you know how people are like, man, I just woke up one day and I quit smoking, you know, like, and it's just like, no, nothing, right?
You when it comes
Yeah,
down
that
to
was
it.
my case. That wasn't for me, but I'm just saying that works for some people and I good to them.
Right.
But for me, I had to start noticing the patterns of my life.
Okay.
So like one of the things that I learned about myself kind of in graduate school was that leaders are drawn to me. So no matter what job I'm at, the boss is gonna look, I don't know why, but I don't think I've ever had a boss not like, well, maybe like two. But like out of all the jobs I had, and those were for other reasons, I've never had a boss not like me. So like when I was at Baylor, like it may seem trivial, but like the dean of the graduate school and the executive chief of staff for the school, like they were my mentor. When I say chief of staff, I mean chief of staff for Baylor. Like her office was in the president's office. Like when I had to go see her, I walked by the president, you know? So like, and those were my mentors. And I don't know, so that kind of showed me that part of my purpose is to help other leaders. Like, and I wasn't really helping them, but like when we had our staff meetings, they looked to me a lot. There were a lot of semesters where I was over almost every project that came through our center and all this kind of stuff. So that was a pattern that I noticed, like my bosses like me. They asked me my opinion. My opinion matters, right? Another pattern that I saw was I was always encouraging my friends naturally to follow their dreams. Like what, like Nick, you can come up to me and be like, Jasmine, I think next year I'm gonna build a rocket and I'm gonna go to the moon. And you know me, I'm gonna be like, bet. How do we build a rocket? You know, like that's just who I am. Like I think that nothing is impossible, especially for my friends. So if I love you and I know you and you tell me your dream, I'm gonna ask you about it. Like that's just naturally who I am. Like, okay, well, what do I need to do to help you build this rocket? Like, do I need to give you $100? I'm gonna find $100,000 to help you build, you know, like that's just who I am naturally. So I kind of was forced after I quit my job this time last year. I was forced to figure out what are the patterns in my life. What are the things that keep popping up? What are the things that I'm naturally good at? That might be my purpose. So it wasn't I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm a purpose cultivator and educator. Like that's not what happened. But it was through conversations and through noticing patterns of my life. So yeah.
I can personally vouch for that. It's been definitely a lot of significant moments in life where I'm trying to figure out which direction should I go. And a lot of conversation with you have definitely guided me in a direction that was like beneficial to me. So yeah, I can vouch for everything that you just said. But you did make me think about. I'm wondering, have you ever experienced like some dissonance? Like have you ever were there ever other signs that pulled you in a different direction and you had to like figure out, well, is this my purpose or should I go this direction? Like how do you like say yes to one to certain signs and no to others?
Yeah, so I definitely am a people pleaser. I didn't realize that until I quit my job. I didn't realize how much of a people pleaser I was. So throughout life, there have been people that say you have to do, not have to, but you, Jasmine, you should do this because you're good at it, right? Or you should do, like, why would you do that? You could do this. And I think that created some cognitive dissonance within myself. Sorry. What is cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is when you are basically battling yourself. That is cognitive dissonance. You're two-minded, double-minded. There we go. Because you know, not everybody got a psychology degree from Xavier like us, Nick. You can't just be throwing out. Okay. I realized after I started talking, I'm like, people don't know what that is. Anyway, so basically double-mindedness. Okay. So that came really when I was trying to follow what people told me to do, or people I respected, people that were wise, people that knew me. Right. That is when I really was battling the most. And when I wasn't able to be my full self. So there were spaces where I would go in and I didn't feel like I was speaking to the leader in the way. I didn't feel like my encouragement mattered. You know, like these things that naturally flow out of me. In some spaces in my life, they weren't fitting. And I think that created dissonance in me because I felt like I'm in the right place. This is like in our friendship, let's say we're not supposed to be friends. But I'm like, no, I like Nick. He's a good person, like
Mhm.
whatever. But I'm not able to be my full self. If I encourage you, you like Jasmine, stop talking to me.
Right.
Or like, or if I'm like, no, you should do this, and you like, that's the dumbest idea, right? And I'm not able to be my full self within the bounds of our relationship, and
Mhm.
that would happen to me, that would
Mhm.
cause cognitive dissonance within myself.
Yeah.
Um, and it happened at a few workplaces and things like that,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's kind of where the battle came from. Listening to other
Yeah.
people and not being able to
Mhm.
be my full self, even in spaces that I thought I was supposed to be
Mhm.
in. Yeah.
Nah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Like I think as people, we like to organize ourselves, and surround ourselves with certain people who we respect and admire, and people who we find intelligent, right, and people who we know have our best interests, and they're telling you like, listen, you're talented at this. I think you should do that. It sounds like it takes a level of courage to really say no to someone or a situation that seems like is beneficial to you or it's for you to say, but nah, you I need to go this way.
Yeah, courage is the word. I think I wouldn't use that word because I don't feel like I'm courageous. But when you say
Mm-hmm.
it that way, yeah, it does. It takes a lot of courage to quit your job with no backup plan. It takes a lot of
Yeah.
courage to say, I'm gonna start this business and I have no business background.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to say, I'm
Yeah.
gonna start a podcast. I have no clue what
Yeah.
that means. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think when you're pursuing your purpose, no matter what it is, there will be moments that are
Mm-hmm.
scary. Even if you're naturally
Yeah.
good at it, that you have to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this
That kind of
thing.
segues into my next question. Because like listening to you sounds like it's a battle on just a lot of different levels. I want
Hmm.
to know, did you personally experience any level of sacrifice on your journey to purpose?
Yeah. I had to. Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think about which direction I want to go in to answer this question. But the short answer is yes. The long answer is I've had to sacrifice a lot of comforts. I've had to
Okay.
sacrifice some relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And not that the relationships are over, but they have changed a lot. I've
Mm-hmm.
had to sacrifice some things that I was comfortable with, things that I used to lean on to bring me comfort no longer serve me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're pursuing your purpose, you have to cut the fat, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what that means. For some of us, that's physical fat, right? For some of us, that is relationships. For some of us, that is our spending habits, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I've had to sacrifice a lot of different things, but I also know that when I'm in purpose on purpose, it doesn't really feel like a sacrifice in the same way.
Okay.
But it is. It is, but it doesn't really feel like if you're really going towards your goal, like if my goal was to get rid of debt, which it is right now, me not
Mm-hmm.
spending money out to eat doesn't really feel like a sacrifice because my goal is to get rid of my debt, right?
Right. Right.
So it's a sacrifice, but when you know where you're going and where you're headed, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice in the same way.
Right. Right. One of the things I realize is, as far as challenge, is I think as far as purpose and goals, and they kind of like tie ins together because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us kind of relate our purpose to our occupation, and one of the things I learned, as far as when you're on that journey, like you can experience, you can not be attracted to your current position and your purpose at the moment, right? But you know what it's going to look like after you put
Yeah.
in all of this work, but at your current position is not attractive, it's not exciting, you're not happy, you can experience discomfort. Like say our friends who are doctors now, I hear a lot of people who talk about the level of stress that they experience in medical school,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't necessarily take away their passion for medicine, but their current position in medical as a student is stressful. But so you sacrifice a lot of, like you said, comfort, a lot of just I mean sometimes even your own happiness at the moment,
Yeah.
for that overall the overall outcome. So I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I think to that point, I think there are levels in your purpose. So right now I'm building
Okay.
Prosper Projects and I'm building up the Purpose Podcast and I'm building up my purpose coaching business. So
Mhm.
it looks totally different when in 3 or 4 years from now when I have 5 people on staff, and
Mhm.
all I gotta do is show up and record and I know that it'll show up on the website, at some point later. And I think that they are
Mhm.
different. And am I any less in my purpose because I'm not in the grind day by day? No. I
Mhm.
think that it just shifts, but
Mhm.
but I think that there's purpose in the grind. I think you appreciate what's on the other side a little bit better. So because I edit these podcasts by myself, because I, whatever on my own, when I do get to
Yeah.
just hand it to somebody and be like, go for it. Like I'm going to appreciate that a lot
Yeah.
more, um, because I know what it takes to edit a podcast.
Right. Nah, I think you're right. That's like that's like like the smallest steps into pursuing your purpose that
Yeah,
that can cause you to experience just stress, discomfort. Like say just me working in mental health. I remember, well, the job that I had like the last like 3 years ago that I did for like
yeah,
3 years, while I was house to house, school to school, and then at the end of the day having to write notes. That was stressful just on a day-to-day basis. But in terms of in terms of like it took away a piece of my happiness, just as far as the demands are required, but like it contributed a whole lot to my happiness as well, because of the difference that I was making in kids'
yeah,
lives. Even though I would experience stress and sometimes not wanting to get up or not complete certain administrative tasks that had to do with my job, but you definitely experience a sense of just satisfaction in like the small work, right? Like
yeah.
so, like you do this podcast and you don't feel like editing it, but like at least the work that you putting into your podcast, it's for you and not
Yeah,
necessarily someone else. It's going to impact someone else, but you're doing it for yourself. If I'm making sense.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. I just think the nitty gritty is a part of it, and I think a lot
Yeah.
of times we compare our purpose to other people,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been like listening to other podcasts that are similar to mine and things like that, and it's so easy to me for me to fall into a trap of, well, they have this many listeners and they've been about like they've
Mm-hmm.
only been on for 2 weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
um, like just all this comparison stuff. But when you're really in your purpose, it doesn't matter because their podcast is going to reach their people and my podcast is going to reach my people. We can have the same topic, different things, and they can hear from you but don't hear from me, or hear from me and not hear from you, right? It's like when your mama tell you something over and over, but sometimes it may take your daddy to say it for you to be like, oh, let me
Right.
get myself together,
Yeah.
like it's the same thing. So when it
Yeah.
comes to your purpose, like if the Lord told you to start a bread company, okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's 8 million different types of bread when you go down the bread aisle, but who knows? Yours might be, the one that somebody needs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just think when it comes to purpose, comparison can slip in. But if you're truly doing what you're supposed to be doing, I think that it's easier to not compare, if that makes sense.
No, I would definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so my next question is there a difference between a purpose and a calling, or is it the same thing?
Why would you ask me that? I don't know. So I think I'm going
I
to
mean,
say they're
just I'm
different.
just asking based on your interpretation of the
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah, yeah,
concepts,
yeah.
or if it's the same.
I would say that they are different
Okay.
because if my purpose, okay, so my purpose could be, so I'm a purpose cultivator and educator, right? So my purpose is to help other people find their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
One way that I do that is through a podcast.
Okay.
Another way I do that is through purpose coaching,
Mm-hmm.
but that's today. So I can
Mm-hmm.
say that I am called, quote unquote, to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But when the podcast is over,
Mm-hmm.
is am I done being a purpose cultivator educator? No, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
done doing that. The avenue in which I do it is now shifting. So I think
Okay.
that your calling, from where I feel right now on this podcast, because it may change.
Mhm.
So let me make that
Mhm.
clear before somebody come for me. Your
Mhm.
calling is how you live out your purpose in
Okay.
that
It
moment, in
sounds
that season.
nah. It sounds like you recognize them as two different things, but they do have a positive relationship with each other.
Yeah. But I just think that I
Okay.
could be called. So, like in the church world, like people say, I've called to preach, right?
Yeah.
I'm called to preach the gospel. But in my world, I feel like we're all supposed to tell people about Jesus, right?
Okay.
Your avenue just happens to be through preaching, whereas her avenue may be through teaching, where her avenue may be through knocking on people's doors and saying, this is Jesus. So I think that the
Okay. I get what you're
overall
saying.
purpose is to tell people about Jesus, but
Okay.
the avenue in which you do it
Your calling.
shifts based on, yeah, that's your calling based on who you are. Um,
That's
and I
that.
think that's why I think that way, because of the way I view church.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's your calling is how you live out your purpose.
I can accept that. I think that's the
Well,
way to
thank
like
you.
describe that. Um, my next question is, and this is a great segue into the next question I want to ask you. One of the things that I respect about you is your relationship with God, and how grounded you are in your faith. Um, as far as this concept of purpose, there is an alternative perspective, right? And I do want to know, in your opinion, oh, I have it written down. And in your opinion, what is your perspective on the argument? What is your thoughts on the perspective that there is no purpose, and it's something that human beings make up in order to
Mm,
add a sense of value to
yeah,
life?
I think that
Um,
whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe in the spiritual realm or not, I think
mm-hmm.
everybody has some tug on them. Like, and I
Tug.
think
Okay.
that, yeah, I think that there's like something in them that's like, I must pursue this thing.
Right.
Um, and usually that thing helps other people in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, yeah, I think God aside, universe aside, spiritual realm aside, I think that there are people out here that do not believe in the spiritual world that are doing good things that affect other people,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that is like, I don't know.
But here's the thing.
Everybody wants to have value. Everybody wants to have value, whether
Right.
they believe in God or not. Everybody
Right.
wants to be valuable in the world. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, to that argument, I don't know how to answer the question, but I think that everybody wants to have value in this world, and there is a tug on you
Mm-hmm.
to be and to do a certain thing that helps other people, no matter who you are. I believe that.
Okay, okay, so that's interesting because when I hear you speak about purpose, I definitely hear a significant level of faith that's tied into that. Like the whole idea of purpose and calling sounds like a religious, spiritual concept. Is that the
Mhm.
case for you?
Um,
Not
for me
entirely.
personally, yes, but for the
Right.
people I coach, always no, and I think that that's okay. I don't think that I can separate my faith from what I do. Now, don't kill me, everybody out there that's a Christian, but I can separate. Yeah, I can separate them because not everyone believes the way I do. Not everyone's
Mm-hmm.
God looks like my God. Not everyone's God has a
Mm-hmm.
son named Jesus, that died and rose again in 3
Mm-hmm.
days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, but that doesn't mean your value on earth is any less than mine. I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe that.
For
I
sure.
believe that everyone is on earth to impact other people.
For
And
sure.
my job is to help you figure out what that impact is. Even if it's being a stay-at-home mom, you don't
Mm-hmm.
know who you raising. You could be raising the next president of the United States. Like you could be raising the next UN leader. You don't know. Even if that is being a gardener, something that's like, oh, I'm just helping people yards. You don't know what that wife will feel like when she pulls up to her house and her garden is pretty and her flesh. She's like, oh my God, thank you. Like whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, I think our roles on earth is to help other people. Um, so that's outside of God. I mean, it's not outside of God. I think it comes from God, but I can say lead
No,
someone
I get
there
exactly what you're saying.
without there being a God swing. There we go.
Yeah, no, I hear
But I
exactly what
believe
you're
in
saying.
God,
If I'm,
just so y'all know.
nah, that's dope though. What I'm hearing you say is, for you specifically, your purpose is for sure connected to your faith,
Yeah,
right? But as far as which direction you get pulled to go in life, both professionally and personally, but you also recognize everyone doesn't believe what you believe.
yeah,
However, everybody still experience the same pull in whatever direction they go in life.
yeah,
To that person who is not a believer, the pull may be very practical, may be very the ambition is instilled from their parents, the community, the elders that they had in their life, their
yeah,
level of education, the type of friends they had, whatever life circumstances are, they still experience that same pull in whatever direction they going. It's just not necessarily related to a spiritual world.
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Because you kind of put me on. I didn't expect this response because I had like sub questions related to that.
What asked them?
No, because I also just is obviously influenced by other conversations that I've had with other friends that
Yeah.
I'm just bringing into this podcast, and and like some of the smaller questions I was going to ask, was, do you feel like they're missing, like non-believers who don't believe in purpose, but you do identify that they're being pulled in a certain direction? Do you feel
Hmm.
like they're missing out on anything
By not believing in God or not believing in purpose?
by not believing in purpose?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that it
Also,
gives
if
your
you just
life
like
meaning.
you just said that they still experience that same pull, so they're successful, or
Oh,
as
I
far
guess.
as like,
Oh, you mean the concept of purpose?
yeah, like are they missing out on
Oh
anything by
no,
not
I don't
believing in
think
a
so.
concept of purpose?
I don't think so
Okay.
because I think if they say I feel pulled in this direction, but I don't believe in purpose. To me, I'm like, okay, you believe in purpose, but you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
label it. So no, I
Okay.
don't think so. I thought you
Right.
were saying, I got it. I understand the question. So
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a verbiage. I don't think it's a like I'm reading this book right now. Actually, this book right here. You are a bad butt at making money, right? I'm
Okay.
reading this book right now. And one of the things that she talks about, she has like a mini chapter, is chapter 2A, where she talks about universal intelligence. And
Mm-hmm.
basically she talks about how she was like, no matter what you believe in, you need
Mm-hmm.
to believe in some spiritual something
Okay.
because it'll help you make money. It's basically what she was saying. Like whatever you put in the spiritual realm will come back. And she was like, she calls it universal intelligence, but every time she put say universal intelligence, I just said God. Right. As
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading, I'm like, okay, God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I brought that up to say the verbiage is different, but the outcome
Uh-huh.
is the same. So I think
Yeah.
when I'm saying I feel pulled in a certain direction, I would say to that, that's
Mm-hmm.
your purpose. Whereas they would
Yeah.
say, no, I just feel drawn to whatever. And I'm like, okay. Like,
Right. Right. Right.
as like I'm not one to put my views on you. So I'm not going to say, no, that's your purpose. I'm just gonna be like, okay, well, let's follow what we're drawn to. And then I
Mm-hmm.
will.
Yeah. Now you definitely just helped me with a lot of clarity, because for me, purpose is so much connected to my level of happiness. Um and not just me personally. I feel like having meaning to life, having like believing in the concept of purpose, um makes people happier, right?
Mm,
Like when in therapy sessions, when I talk to people who are struggling with depression or whatever other related issues, um a lot of times there is a lack of purpose, at least in the moment. Like they haven't
yeah,
discovered it yet, but that's kind of the theme of what we're talking about in the session, just feeling like, what am I doing here,
yeah.
right? And so, like, on a larger conversation, I always found it, when I'm in this conversation with people who don't believe in purpose, and these are happy, intelligent, successful
Hmm.
people. So I don't know. I kind of just get caught up and just I don't know. I guess just
Well, Nick,
what
next
you
time,
you
ask
get
them
what I'm
where do
saying.
they feel drawn. Right? Like I think you can
But
get
you
them
already
to
helped me with this
purpose.
though.
Yeah, I just think that there's ways to get people where you want them to go without telling them where they go. It's like when you have kids
Okay.
and you want your kid to clean up, but they like yelling and screaming, I don't want to clean up, whatever. You make it a game. All right, who can pick up the most toys in the next 30
Mm-hmm.
seconds will get an extra 10 minutes of TV time, right? Like you make it a game. The end result's still the same. The room is
Mm-hmm.
clean, but the way you went about it is different. And I think that in your therapy sessions, you just
I respect that, and it's
go
not so much
around.
just about my therapy session. It's just like group of people who I just have these types of conversations with.
Oh yeah.
Your perspective just gave me a lot of clarity how both of us can exist. Like it's room for people like me and you, and how we in our relationship with the concept of purpose, and how it ties to happiness and fulfillment, and how this group of people can also exist, who do not believe in God, who do not
Yeah.
support the concept of purpose, but at the same time experience a sense of pull, but they chalk it up to just ambition and
Yeah.
just whatever else it is in life. So now you definitely give me some clarity with that.
No
Let me
problem.
see. Where I want to go next. Um, at this stage, um, how would your life be different? So you've discovered what your purpose is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let me see. You've been at this for about since
I started Process Projects in 2017.
2017. I'm about to say like 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you feel how would you like how do I want to word this? Like you've discovered what your purpose is and you've been working on it just the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
How would you imagine your life being any different if you hadn't discovered your purpose back in 2017?
I don't think I would
Like
have direction. I don't think I
mm,
would, or that's not true. I think that I would be still doing it, but it wouldn't be intentional. And I think intentionality in your purpose is very important. So I think because
mm,
like I said, it's a pattern of my life. I encourage my friends, like
mm,
let's build this rocket so we can get to the moon, like whatever.
mm,
Um, but now that I know that that's my purpose, I'm more intentional in a lot of my
okay.
conversations, how I speak to myself, how I
Mm,
speak to others. I actually recorded DJ
mm,
Bostic. His episode comes out after mine, but I recorded
mm,
his like 2 days ago, and he was saying
mm.
how I can't is a what did he say? He didn't say you're disrespecting yourself. Is that what he said?
When you say you can't.
Dishonoring yourself, something like that. Yeah, when you say you can't, like you're disrespecting yourself. Like why would you say that you can't do something? And I think
Mm,
that now that I know my purpose, like that those type of statements resonate more with me. Like because it's
mm,
like why would I diminish who I am? Why would I diminish what I do?
mm,
Why would I speak negatively over my business or over my
mm,
relationships or whatever?
mm,
um Now that I'm intentional about my purpose, it changes everything. It changes how you think, it changes how you move. It changes like, yeah, like
like that was a
I don't know
spark.
how,
Like
yeah, but I don't know how deep I want to go. So, like for example, the reason we couldn't record yesterday was because I made a bad decision the night before, right? And I'm usually more conscious. I'm usually like, I have work to do tomorrow, so I'm not going to make these decisions, but I didn't
mm,
do that.
mm,
And I mean, it's not a big deal, but I did have
mm,
plans. I had stuff to do that I did not get to do because I'd made a wrong decision. And there's room for mistakes when you're in your purpose. But what I'm saying
mm.
is there should have been some intentionality. Like Jasmine, you have to get up.
Gotcha.
I had two clients yesterday, one of which I'll be completely honest was like, you look annoyed. And I was
Mm,
like, I'm not annoyed. I'm sleepy. I'm tired.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I didn't say that to them, obviously. But I'm saying like there should be more intentionality when I know what my purpose is. I'm not staying up to
Yeah.
ungodly hours with my friends laughing and talking, knowing that I have something to
Mhm,
do the night before. Again, there's room for mistakes. You're not perfect, but I have been more intentional with like,
mhm,
hey y'all, I gotta go. I love y'all, but it's 2 a.m,
mhm,
and being more intentional with that.
No, I agree with it. It definitely feels like once you discover what it is that you want to do as far as purpose, it definitely there's this spark that happens. Like you become kind of extra motivated, and it feels like you have something to protect, right?
Yeah,
And
yes,
you kind of more responsible about your purpose and just your existence, right? Because
yes,
it's like you're careful with your behavior, and just so because now your existence means something to other people and as well as to
yes,
yourself, right? So now like you move in with intention and to protect your purpose, right? Because it's 2017, 2021, but your purpose it will continue. But if you don't protect it,
yeah,
if you don't be careful, be responsible with your abilities and your talents and your skills, it can go in a different direction.
yeah. I yes, wholeheartedly. Like that's when I called you to cancel. That's why, because I was like, I'm so tired. Like
Right,
I would look crazy
right,
on people would be like, is she here? Is she all right? Like
right,
my client, like, you okay? And I think that to protect that,
hmm,
I was intentional in saying, yo, Nick,
right,
like we ain't doing this today.
right,
And I think that changes when you are in purpose on purpose. When I put out stuff, I'm continually trying to grow with my visuals. I'm trying to make
right,
sure it looks good. I'm trying to make sure it
right,
sounds good. Um, things like that. I think that there's always a progression when it comes to your purpose. And
right,
me knowing my purpose has
mhm,
created that spark, like you said, to be
mhm,
intentional in it. And I
mhm,
think if I didn't know it, I would still be doing it, but it would be
right,
sloppy. I
right,
think that I wouldn't be my best Jasmine. I think
mhm,
I'm just encouraging my friends to build a rocket. I'm not like, oh, let me
right,
teach you how to
right,
build a rocket, right?
right.
That's not
It's marketing
that
now for you not let it go, but I like it.
you you wrong. So you're
No,
not
I
gonna say
like
that on my
it.
podcast.
No,
Don't do
listen, no, listen, no, no,
that.
no, listen, listen. It's a compliment to me for you to say, Nick. If you want to build a rocket, I'm going to help you build a rocket. Clearly, I'm the last person on the planet who can build a rocket, but I like that analogy. I don't know.
Don't
Maybe just
encourage
my
me.
own.
Don't encourage me after you came for me about the analogy, but I'll get
Oh,
it.
no, no,
Uh,
I like it. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying I like. So one of the
but
things that you have under the brand, as far as I mean, that relates to your purpose is the work Wednesdays that you do
yeah.
on social media on Wednesdays. I like it a whole lot. I'm tuned in. I pay attention every Wednesday, and I have my. I wish I'd have had it with me. I have my what is it called, the planner. I have my own prosper
Oh
plan.
yeah, the Prosper Planner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you can you tell us about the what made you decide to come out with a planner and
Yeah.
more about Work Wednesdays and how did Work Wednesdays come about?
Yeah, sure. So again, when you're in your purpose, like you want to be the best for other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Work Wednesdays actually is something I've started a long time. Like in 2017, I started Work Wednesdays. And it started as me going to different coffee shops in Atlanta and just saying, hey y'all, we working. Like I'm at this coffee shop, wherever you are, do work. And evolved one because of COVID, and two because I got a full time job. I can't go to a coffee shop on Wednesdays when I have a full time job. So it kind of evolved, took a hiatus. But when it came back, I was like, man, what do people need? What do we like in Wednesdays, in the middle of the week? You tired of your boss? You tired of this extra project? Because what I do is help people on their extra for their pet projects, the things that are on the shelf that they need to take off the shelf and do something with. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I hear. So it's easy to throw that on the back burner. But I
Mm-hmm.
came up with Work Wednesdays to say, no, hey, think about it. Hey. Like don't put it on the back burner. I know here gonna rocket. I know you worked all day, Nick, as a therapist and as a supervisor, but that rocket still needs to get done. So that's why I started Work Wednesdays to be like, hey, you remember the rocket? Hey,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's perfect. It's right in the middle of the week when you
Mm-hmm.
over it, like when you don't want to touch anything else. So that's what that came about. And the same with the planner.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of my next is that I help people break things down.
Uh-huh.
So when we're trying to build this imaginary rocket,
Mm-hmm.
we're not putting the roof on day one. right? That's not
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing. We're sketching it out first. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what my planner helps you do. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what do I want it to look like? What are the dimensions? What do I need to build this? Like, that's what the planner helps you
Mm-hmm.
do. And I think that that's just, it kind of flows out of me naturally. Like, I help people break down their big ideas so that
Mm-hmm.
they actually can pursue it. Because if it stays as a rocket, you ain't never gonna get there. But if I say you need a sketch, you need dimensions, you need
Mm-hmm.
materials, you need a place to build it, right? Like now it's like, oh, I can do this one step at a
Mm-hmm.
time, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where the planner came from. It's because I help you say, how do we get to this
Mm-hmm.
rocket? Yeah.
I like that, and I'm grateful of that, and I just want to say thank you for that. Oh, for real, because Work Wednesday, what I hear is it's like a reminder to put some time aside and dedicate it towards your purpose, because
Yeah.
we get distracted by so much in life, right? We get distracted by our daily responsibilities, by our professions that's not
Yeah.
related to our purpose. We get distracted by our own emotional issues that we have going
Yeah.
on, any kind of problems we have. Just I mean, just like the last, like 2020 was a really difficult time for a lot of people
Yeah.
in this country, with just the political atmosphere, the police brutality going on,
Yeah.
the pandemic. So
Yeah.
like all of this can be really distracting, and we all are on social media, right? So that Work
Yeah.
Wednesday comes like, listen, I understand what's going
Yeah.
on, right? But listen, don't forget about the rocket, right?
Yeah.
You
Right.
prosper, use your prosper planner to organize your life, to set some time aside to work on your purpose, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate that.
Also, just so y'all know, Nick wouldn't have faked about 2020. My friend was buying tennis shoes. Do you hear me?
Oh, well, you gonna do that for me on the podcast? You
My
gonna do
friend was texting me every other month talking about, you like these, Jazz?
that?
Meanwhile,
Embarrassing.
I done quit my job, building a
Oh,
business.
that's embarrassing.
It's good though, Nick.
Listen,
It's a
listen.
blessing.
No, it is. It is. I mean, anytime I get in conversations about 2020, I definitely experience a whole lot of emotional
Yeah,
and just sadness, as far as like police brutality, and
yeah,
just like just uncertainty within, as far as politics, and just the
yeah,
whole pandemic and everything. Um, I definitely went through that on a emotional level as everybody
yeah,
else, but I am grateful to say that on an individual level, I have been pretty okay, I guess, financially.
yeah,
I'm working in healthcare. I maintain employment.
yeah.
I still able to pay my bills, and I guess buy Prosper merch.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. I like the way you did
Oh, oh,
that.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm grateful, but we're not gonna spend a lot of time talking
Okay,
about
okay, we can come back. It's a joke, y'all. I mean, I'm not joking. He did text me almost every other month, but it is a joke.
anyways. Speaking of Work Wednesdays, people discovering their purpose was different 20 years ago, and
Yeah,
now we have social media, right? And social media is a platform they use to um work in your purpose, to have a contribution, and to other people discovering their purpose.
yeah.
Could you just I guess talk more about the role social media has played in you discovering your purpose, or working in your purpose?
I don't know if it played a role in me discovering my purpose, but it has played a role in how I discuss my purpose and how
Mhm.
I learn and grow.
Okay.
Because I've learned from so many people on social media of how to get a word out about certain things. I've
Mhm.
learned what works in certain demographics from social media. I've learned, I just learned a lot. But social
Mhm.
media, as far as like like deciding my purpose, honestly, I think it's a catch 22 because
Okay.
it can be detrimental because you're like, you see all these cool things. So you can see me and be like, man, I want to be a purpose coach. And then you can see Nick and be like, dang, I want to be a therapist. And then you can
Mhm.
see our friend Justin and be like, man, maybe I should be a pharmacist, right? So like it can be detrimental in that you see too many things, but it also is a positive thing because then you can say, wait, that purpose coaching thing actually fits me, So I think it could be a catch-22 depending on your personality. It could lead you astray in 8 million directions, or it could just expose you to new things, and something to try. And that's another thing when it comes to purpose. I say try it. Like if it doesn't work out, that's okay. I think we're so afraid of failure in our generation, because we're taught that we have to be perfect from like birth. But I think I think experimenting and trying and figuring it out. I made a lot of mistakes. I recorded a podcast and I had the date and time in the corner of the whole recording. We got to record again, right? Like stuff just happens. And I apologize 8 million times. And the dude is like, it's all right. And I'm like, okay. So I just think that in the pursuit of our purpose, stuff happens. And you pick yourself up
So
and you
social
try
media has
again.
had a positive impact on your purpose. Sounds
I
like.
think so. I think that it helped me just learn new techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, in terms of accomplishments,
Mhm.
um, really in relation to your purpose, um, how do you want it to look 50 years from now, in order to, as far as feeling a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment?
Man, that's a
50 years
good.
from now, you started in 2017. You know,
In
50 years from now,
2067, 20 or 20
yeah.
or
In order for you to say,
2067. Yeah.
"Good job, Jasmine."
Uh, I think crazy enough, I don't know if it has anything to do with what I do professionally. I think that I
Okay.
would feel most fulfilled if my kids are happy and healthy. Well, that's not true. If I helped, I don't want to say help as many people as possible because I don't believe
And I also don't want
I'm
you to
here
still
to
answer
help.
my question though. My question,
I'm coming.
because I do want to know about your sense of purpose on a personal level, and especially in the future. But as far as professional
Okay,
accomplishments,
professional. Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. All right, okay. I'm picking it up. Okay, so professionally, Prosper
Mhm.
Projects, Purpose Coaching. I want to be impactful to the people I touch. I don't want to touch 8 million people. If it's only 800, I want to be as impactful as possible. I want those people to be living out their purpose in a way that is fruitful to the world. That
Mhm.
because I'll be honest, there have been clients that have been hard for me. They stubborn, they don't listen. Now I understand when people be getting mad at me for being stubborn, and that is not fulfilling to me. Um, so now I'm more selective in who I work with.
Mhm.
Like if I can tell that you're not serious and that you're going to waste my time, I don't work with them. So professionally, I want to help people that want to be helped and help people who
Mhm.
want to work into the world. And like that would
Mhm.
be an accomplishment. Like, man, like look at Nick and his rocket. Like he made it to the moon. Like that would make me feel accomplished.
Love this rocket example. Love it. But listen,
Yeah.
how do you make that decision though? You say you're selective with who you work
There's
with.
questions. I have a questionnaire on my website that asks certain things. And then I could
Okay.
find out, I could figure it out in maybe one or two
Mm-hmm.
conversations with somebody, whether they're serious or not. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Same question on a personal level. 50 years from now.
Yeah. I think that would be that my kids are happy and healthy, that my husband does
Mhm.
not feel neglected, that I worked Prosper Projects, but I was not there for him. I just think
Mhm.
being balanced in everything. I served people well, whether that's in the church, outside of the church, my family, that my kids are happy and whole. That would make me feel accomplished.
Okay. Well, this last thing that I have here
Okay.
is um you started this whole purpose podcast, right? Um what do you want people to get from your seasons, from your
Yeah,
episodes?
that's a good question. I think the biggest thing I want people to understand through the Purpose Podcast is that your journey is your journey. Because the thing, our tagline is "Let's journey to purpose together." And I
Mm-hmm.
think that we are so used to that big bang that I talked about earlier. Because there are
Mm-hmm.
people that I think that that's cool too. Like there are people that woke up and was like, "Man, I just knew I was supposed to be in the music industry," and here they
Mm-hmm.
are, producer of the year. And you're like, "God, no, how did that happen?" So that's their
Mm-hmm.
journey, and that's cool. And then there's some of us who have to try a few different things and be like, you know what, that's not it for me. And then there's some of
Mhm.
us that are following a natural pattern of their lives and people that are anywhere in between those things. And I think that that's okay. Like I bring on different people from different perspectives, people that don't even know their purpose that are still trying to figure it out. Cause I think it's all valuable. Hearing
Mhm.
people's stories and hearing what their purpose means to them. Like this season, I have fitness trainers, I have governmental workers, I have
Okay.
pastors, I'm trying to think who else is on teachers. Like I have all types of people from different walks of life. Um
For season
and
two.
I, yeah, season two.
Okay, and I was gonna
Um
ask that. What can we expect for this upcoming season? So okay.
yeah, you can expect conversations with people that have all
Mm,
different types of backgrounds, entrepreneurs, people with
mhm,
9 to 5s. So it's just
mhm,
cool to talk to people where they are, um
mhm.
and figuring out because purpose looks different for every person. And that's
Yeah,
what I want
that's the
people to
same thing
see.
I'm thinking. I mean, honestly, outside of the show, me and you've had this conversation 1,000 times, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like we're talking about it, but at the same time processing
Yeah.
how we interpret what purpose is
Yeah.
every single time. Like it transforms into
Yeah.
something else. Sometimes I feel like I'm 100% sure of how I understand purpose and what my purpose is, and then like I don't know, when we revisit the conversation 2 weeks later, like my perspective is shaky.
And
Like,
that's okay. Like
yeah.
that's the point. Like that's
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. This was great. You gave me, like I just said, you definitely gave me some new perspective on purpose, especially as I was struggling with people who don't. Um, I kind of support the concept of
Mm-hmm.
purpose and a calling and stuff like that. So, yeah. And thanks for inviting me again.
Oh, no problem, Nick. Well, I guess we could turn it back over to me to being the host, and I'll end the show. So, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz. Uh, and shout out to Nick and his Prosperware. So, yeah, we journey to purpose together every week. This is the first episode of season 2, so you get to hear my perspective on purpose. Come back as we talk to, entrepreneurs, fitness trainers, teachers, all type pastors, all type of people from all different walks of life. And as always, please remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on IG at Purpose Pod, and we're on Facebook at The Purpose Pod with Dr. Jazz. And I will see you all next week. Thanks. Bye.